Hello, this is Jim Kaufman with Rankin Technical College. For the final project, the React CRUD application, kind of want to just go over as far as deploying it and checking your code in to the main branch using the command line tools. So just kind of, this is the same thing we did for the React 3, Lab 3. I just want to kind of do it again, just for something that you can refer to if you need to for the final project. So first here, we want to come in here and create our new repository. And obviously, if you've already got a repository created, that's fine. If you're following the videos for the final project for that CRUD application, you've already got a name, that's fine. I'm just going to use this name here, which AWD 1000 final project. And I'm going to come down here and just create a license, MIT license. So that's about it. Oh, I need to choose an owner. Yours shouldn't be like that. Mine's a little different, probably because I'm integrated with Rankin. So, but here's the owner and here's the repository name. Okay. Make sure it's a public repository, and I chose MIT license. Create the repository. Okay, so here's our initial repository. And so then the first thing you kind of want to do here, and like I said, maybe you've already have things going in a direction, that's fine. You've already created that, that's all right. But I'm just going to kind of go through the process of starting from scratch. So first we want to kind of go to the directory structure, and I did want to go over that again. So it's important to, for the GH Pages module that we're using, to be able to deploy this application command line from your computer, you want to make sure that the path to your repository, at least where you start your repository, is pretty high up. So when I say high up, so here's the C directory, right? It's basically the drive, and then I've got this folder called dev, and then I have repos, okay? So it's very high up, because if you're too far down, the file paths get too long, and it's a problem with trying to deploy the app. So for this assignment, you'll want to do it at a higher level, okay? So I have this repos here, and I have a bunch of things in here. So what I want to do here, actually I do want to go up to the dev, and on the repos thing, here's the kind of the easiest way to do this. And this is kind of redundant from what I did for the React Lab 3. But here you just can go in here and then open the terminal, okay? And then in here, you're pointing to that directory. And then you want to clone, you basically want to clone your repository. So you want to do git clone. And then I already cut and paste the URL. So it's the full path to your new repository that you created. Okay, so then we have that. We can go ahead and close this. We don't need that anymore. So I'm going to go to repositories here. And I'm going to open this in Visual Studio Code. Okay, and then in here we're going to start a new terminal. Let's make this bigger. Terminal, new terminal. Okay, and I also want to mention that and I've already mentioned this once, but in the for the final project, for all those videos that Mr. Gubbenstead made, it actually used I think an older version of Crate. It used to use Crate React, but we want to actually do the Vite. Okay, instead of Crate React, we want to do Crate Vite. So just basically how we've done it for the other labs. And this actually gets the latest version of Vite, right? And so I'm just calling mine Final CRUD app. Obviously, you can call it what you like, but I'm just doing an npm here on that. Okay, and then in here, use the arrow keys to select the correct ones, and here we'll select React, and then select just JavaScript. Make sure you don't do this one by mistake. So use the arrow keys on that, then hit enter. That's going to create that. We don't have to necessarily do install right away, so maybe this time we'll actually just skip that because it really doesn't matter. Never mind. Yeah, let's do. We probably should do that. Let's do that install. There are some dependencies there that could cause some issues with errors. All right. And then we might as well just go ahead and see that run. And it is indeed working. Okay, close that. Not that that's necessary, but you might as well see that. And so what I'm going to do here actually is, so obviously you want to build out your whole, your project, your app. I'm not going to be doing all that. I'm just wanting to go through the fact of using the command line arguments to, the command line tool, I should say, the terminal, to go ahead and submit your code to GitHub for the main branch, and then also go ahead and do the deploy as well, right? So I'm just deploying basically the basic Vite default app that comes with it when you set it up. That's what it is right now. So I'm just going to push that out there. Okay. So obviously you're going to be doing all your coding here before you do too much. You want to at least get something started before you push it out there. Make sure it's working, and then you can do subsequent pushes, both deploying and committing your code. Right. Okay. So kind of pretending that you've already got your final project to a certain point where it's somewhat working, and you want to go ahead and push it out there, because I recommend you doing that. I hate for you to be working on it and trying like the last day to get it working, getting things pushed out there, and might as well go through this process a few times so you get better at it. It's more comfortable instead of getting yourself in a situation where you might be having problems right on the night of the last day of the class on the Sunday the 27th. So you really don't want to get yourself in that situation. So here we wanted to go ahead and do the add the GH pages module. So we're going to do npm install, and it's the GH pages. Okay. Now we got that, and now we have to make some changes. So we're going to come into the Vite config file. Okay. And then after this, we need to do the base. Yeah, that's right. Base colon, and then we want to let's see. So what did we? So basically, it's going to be this here, right? So make sure you spell it right. And then you do want to also have your forward slash. You need to have your slashes in here just like that. Okay. And that should be good. Nothing's red in here. Everything's looks fine. You don't have to put another comma here. Just leave it just like it is. So that is your base. So this is your repository name. I'm going to save that. And we're going to come up here to your package.json file. Okay. And in here, we want to go ahead and after build here, I'm going to add a deploy. And for that, we're going to, what we need to do on this is, I don't know why this one file has single quotes, another has double quotes, but that's okay. So here, then we just want to make sure that we have our correct repository. So let's just grab that. Probably better to cut and paste so you don't have this risk having errors. So in here, we're going to grab this. No, that's not for that. Sorry, I got confused. That's for the home page. So for here, though, let's see. I apologize there. So here, yeah, deploy, and here's just our command. So here we're doing GH pages, -D means directory, and dist is the directory that Vite will create. And we obviously, you see a little red here. It's because we're missing something. We're missing the comma. So GH pages -D dist. So that looks good. Okay, and then outside of the scripts, we want to do the home page. Okay, so we want to do a home page here. And this is where we want to put our complete repository, complete path. So here's our complete path to the repository. Let me make this big. So, okay, well then here you want to make sure that you put your comma. So there's your home page. That looks good. Our deploy looks good. All right, I'm happy with this. So I'm going to save this. And then the next thing we want to do is do, you may need to do npm install again. Depends on if you added something that didn't. You probably shouldn't at this point, but we can do that anyhow. It's not going to change, ain't going to hurt. It'll just update something that hasn't been updated, okay? And then after that, we want to do the build, right? We're going to want to do this build. This was already in our code, and this is basically what Vite's going to do. It's going to take our files, our JSX files and everything else, create a distribution directory with kind of a compiled version, right, that the browser understands. So here, we'll do CLS here, clear that out. And so then here we're going to do npm build. Oh, no, I did make, actually I need to change this. I was kind of reading it off the thing. You got to do the run. npm run build, it's going to do that. I need to change that in the directions. It didn't have that. I just was going off that. Yep, so you need npm run build, and that's creating the dist directory here with your files. I won't go through, I'm not going to go through all of these again, just like we were talking about before though. So that's there, and now that we have that, what we can go ahead and do is deploy that out, which currently in our repository on GitHub, we don't have anything out there, just the license, right? That's the only thing. So here we're just going to go ahead and do npm run deploy. Published. Let's go take a look, make sure everything looks good on that. So I'm going to hit refresh here. And you got two branches. Now you got the GH pages branch. Come over here on the right hand side, go down, and I think it hasn't done anything yet. There is a little delay for it to deploy everything. And like I've said before, sometimes it takes longer than other times. See right here it says pending. You can hover over that, it says pending. So it's still in the process of doing that deployment. Okay, so we're just going to give it a minute, and we'll refresh the page. Okay, I refreshed the page. It's not pending anymore. It puts a check mark there. On the right-hand side, come down, you got your GitHub pages. Come out here, click on that, and here's the app. Okay. And like I said, obviously, you're going to have your final app, not the basic default app that Vite creates. All right. So that's that. And then, so what we want to do now, though, you're back to their repository here for a minute. So that's our GH pages, but for our main, we don't have anything here. So we need to get all our code out here in the main. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So now what we want to do here is first you just run git status. Let me see what I got here on this. That's not worth it. I don't know why I'm doing all that. All right, git status. And then, you know, it's telling you that there's untracked files. There's files that have changed. Okay. And if you want to add those files, you need to do git add. Okay. And so if you know what you're doing, sometimes you might want to add one, but you know, for most part, you just add everything, right? So we just do a git add and a period, a dot, hit enter. And you're going to receive these warnings. Don't worry about that. Let's go ahead and look at the status again. As you can see, a bunch of files have been added. They got moved to the staged area. So the next thing we want to do is do a commit. So let me just grab that. Oh, it actually put it awful quick there. So the commit, I just have a message. -m means message, React CRUD app, initial commit. Here's all the files. And then obviously if I look at status here, it shows, you know, use git push to publish your local commits. Basically this is still part of your local. Nothing's changed out there on the remote repository. So we want to do git push here. Okay. And now if we go out to our local repository, and I just hit refresh here, and you can see here's our final CRUD app, and here's all of the different files. Okay. So I recommend, once you have some resemblance of a decent app, well, you can put it out here at any time. You shouldn't wait too long. It doesn't even have to be a running app, you know, as far as committing your code to a repository. You should you should do that probably every day, really. You know, you really don't want to let code sit on your computer. Something could go wrong, right? And especially when you work in the real world, you want to kind of really make sure you're submitting your code often. And I'm sure some of you do, and some of you don't always do that. But you can always submit your code whenever you want, so it's always there. Come back, but you know, don't mess with the deploy until you've got something really working for you to deploy it, right? But like I said, I would make sure that you get something deployed earlier rather than later. After you do it a couple times, obviously we're doing this kind of same deployment method for the React Lab 3, so that gives you a little practice there, you know. But after you do it a few times, it gets a lot easier. So I just don't want you to get in a situation where here it is the Sunday night before the deadline, and you're having problems getting it deployed. So just wanted to give you a little tip on that. So that's all I have. Hope this kind of helps. I know it's redundant. We've kind of already did this for React Lab 3, but just want to go through this one more time. Thanks and have a good day.